Okay, once again, I want to welcome you to the Way Network. This is another session of our streaming, and I want to say that thank you to all those who are assisting us in many ways to to to, to push us and to ensure that we are where we are today. We don't take it for granted. We are most grateful. We appreciate it. God bless you and every entity within the universe which is of love and which is of good. Bless you. We are going to continue our streaming. The previous session that we had was basically on the path or steps to self-realization, ultimately enlightenment. So I want to touch on the last two bits of it because of time. I didn't have time to really go deep into it. So there are a few things we needed to talk about it, and our time was catching up on us. So we couldn't go deep as we should into that session. So today we are still going to talk about enlightenment and integration in the journey of realizing the self, or on the path of realizing the self. We talked in the previous video, we talked about the fact that people are in different states of awareness, different states of consciousness. And the first of them is those who are on the path of the sleeping state, or those who are in the state of modus operandi, which is the sleeping state. And when you find yourself in that state, most people in this state of awareness are purely materialistic in the way they think, feel, and act. And all they seek after is for sensual gratification and material comfort. In that, such people would do anything just for sensual comfort or material gratification, even if it even goes to the extent of sacrificing a human life for the sake of wealth, affluence. In general, sensual gratification, they are ready to do so. So these are the first categories of people who are part of this journey of awakening. And then we have the people in the awakening state or partially awakened state. And these are people who, irrespective of the fact that they pursue materialism and they are looking for sensual gratification, there's this kind of unidentified small voice within their inner awareness that keeps on prompting them that all is not about materialism, and that there is more to life, there's more to existence, there's more to fame, money, women, drinking, wealth, riches, and all those things. So those who are having that glimpses of inner awakening, inner awareness, are those who are in the partial awakening or in the awakening process. Those who such people, in as much as they may spend all their life pursuing material liberation and sensual comfort and sensual happiness, this at a certain point of their life, they begin to think of the other side, which probably may be beyond just sensual gratification. So such people are partially awakening, okay, or they are in the awakening state. And then we have, such people, when they move from this level, then they become devoted to the supreme reality, and that is they begin to seek. We call them the seekers. Then they begin to seek for the path to fulfilling and uncovering this inner quest that has been resonating deep within their subtle mind. So then they graduate from the state of partial awakening to the state of devoted to the supreme reality. That means that they begin to search for their spiritual awareness. And that is where the awakening begins. And that is, such people are called up and coming spiritualists. Okay? So when you become up and coming spiritualist, that means that you have transcended the whole path of that inner feeling, you have transcended the whole path of seeking, and now you become a devotee to that awakening. You become a devotee to that supreme reality, and that is the reality of your existence, which is beyond materialism or material sensual activity. So yes, basically these are the various stages. You come from the sleeping state, then you come to the partial awakening state, then you become a seeker. That means you begin to seek the path of that awakening, and then you become a devotee or devoted to that supreme reality or spiritual reality, which is the self, because that is the only supreme reality there is in this existence. And everything is happening at the subtle level, not at the obvious level. Most people are living in the dimension of the obvious, or in the dimension of reality, and then they lose sight of the fact of the existence of the subtle dimension, which is the real dimension. So we live life upside down, not down up. You understand? So that's how we need to live the life. We live the life from the up to the down, and not down to the up. Not from the material to the non-physical. It has to be from the non-physical to the physical. That is how we have to live our lives. And once we're able to grasp this knowledge, grasp this awareness, and sink into our being, realize that things begin to take shape, and things begin to play out the way we intended it to be. So then everything, or most of the things we think of as a person, easily manifest in our lives, because everything is manifesting within the scope of tangible energy. And one thing we should understand is that time and space are not separable. They are one and the same thing. So that's why Albert Einstein called it time-space world. Okay, so they are not something which are separated. Time and space are not separated, because space is time in measurement. Okay, space is time in measurement. So for instance, when you are at point A and you want to move to point B, the distance between point A and point B becomes a space. And to be able to cover that space, you need time to be able to cover that space, that to move from point A to get to point B. So time and space are integrated. They are not separated. So once you understand some of these things and you begin to understand it from the subtle dimension, realize that then you begin to have control over your space, over your world. When I talk about your space and over your world, is that you have control over your marriage, you have control over your businesses, you have control over your friendship. You have absolute control over your world. And that world you become the master of that world, because you are in control of time and space. And time and space determines manifestation. That whatever would manifest in your life so happen between the integration of time and space. So when you master the energy to be able to have control over this space and the time that runs and manifests the space, it's easy to determine what comes into your space and what gets out of the space, what you allow into your space and what you block out of your space. And all is happening, but at the same time, you should understand, because everything is happening within the moment of the now. And the moment of the now is constituted by time and space. That's the only thing there is. There's nothing. Okay, it's time and space that constitute the now. And that now which constitute time and space, or time and space constituting the now, will determine your past, and it will probably project your future. So what I'm trying to say is that the now, which is the only thing there is for us as humans, as long as we're living within this earth dimension. And what constitutes the now is time and space. Now, what is happening within the space of the now, which is determined by the evolution of time, would determine what your past life will be like and how your future will be projected. So if you want your future to become better, you should be mindful of how you are managing your time and space within the now. And if you want your past to be a beautiful past, for it to be worthy of emulation, that people should you would want people to emulate your past, then you should be mindful of what you are doing in the moment of the now, which is the constitution of time and space. And these are things people don't take time to study, and they don't take time to understand. So people are trying to live tomorrow now, and people are trying to live the now and go back to yesterday. So people say, I want to go 10 lifetimes, 20 lifetimes. People want to say, what is going to happen to me in the future? What you are going to look at in the past is already past, and there's nothing you can do about it because it is recorded in the womb of time already. And what is yet to happen in the future is dependent on what you are doing now. So your now constitutes your future and reveals your past. So what's supposed to be our priority in terms of our earthly life is the moment we call now. And this moment we call now is nothing but a dynamic energy which is in constant evolution. The moment we call now is a dynamic energy which is constantly evolving, unfolding. Now, where it unfolds towards, we call it the future. And where it unfolds past, we call it the past. So what I'm trying to say that, if the now is here, and the now is unfolding this way, okay, the now is unfolding this way, okay, which is the dynamic energy unfolding this way, where it's heading towards, we call it the future. But where he has gone through, we call it the past. So the now is always existing between the future and the past. And where you exist is neither in the past nor in the future. The only place you exist is within the now. And that is the only place you have control. And that, under normal circumstance, if all things were to be equal, that is the only place that your attention should be directed. And don't forget, I have made a video already that talks about how energy is generated. That wherever your attention goes, your energy flows, and that is where you have your manifestation. So if you direct your attention to the past, which of course you cannot live in the past, your energy flows to the past, hence you're wasting the energy in something that would not be productive, that can never apply to your life. That is one. Two, if you want to focus your energy into the future, that means that you are living in the world of delusion, where the future has yet not come, and the only thing that would determine the future manifesting as you have designed it to be is the moment of the now. So there are people who lives in the illusion of the past and the delusion of the future, and they forget about the moment of the now. So there are people who are now broke, they are now disorganized, they are now not having a fruitful marriages and relationship, their kids are wayward, and all they can do is to wallow in the illusions of the past. Oh, I was once the general manager of this company. Do you know who has been? I used to own 10 cars. But they are all in the past. And these people live in the past and hallow themselves with the glories of the past. Meanwhile, in the moment of the now, they are still struggling and suffering. And the hallowings of the past shield and create an elusive reality that intends to cushion them and make them not feel the pain and the troubles and the woes of the now. And by so doing, they create much more difficult situation for themselves and other people who were predestined to be connected to their destiny. It could be a friend, it could be a work partner, it could be a child, it could be a spouse, it could be a sibling. That if the guy is able to fulfill his mission in the now, that mission would help certain souls who were connected to that destiny. And because the person has let go of the feeling of the now and wallowing him or herself in the illusions of the past, it begins to create a domino effect of pain and disappointment. And yet such a person does not feel the pain and disappointment because he lives in a state of illusion of that which he has been able to achieve in the past. We call it past glories. And there are lots of people that are living in this state of awareness. Do you know who I was? Look, we have enjoyed the good things of this life. We ride in the best cars. Meanwhile, the person is now tracking. I used to be the general manager of this bank, of this corporation. Meanwhile, the person cannot even run a simple tabletop shop. And in most of the time, these people are trapped within the dimension of depression, which is also a state of the now. And then if these issues are not addressed, it is coupled with drunkenness, it is coupled with violence and abuse in families and homes and marriages. And this state of consciousness, elusive consciousness, has its own rippling effect. That is one state of people in that awareness. And that there are those also who are living in the delusion of the future. They are eluded by future events, probable future events. So such people, they sit at one place, not doing anything, and they hope for greatness and higher attainment in the near future. So they disregard the events happening in the now. We call those people daydreamers. The first group of people, we call them living in past glory. And this group of people, the second group, we call them daydreamers. Or other people describe them to be those people who build castles in the air. Oh, me, oh, don't worry, in the future, I'll build a mansion. The man who wants to build a mansion has no respect for a bag of cement in the moment of the now. He has no respect for a piece of block in the moment of the now. He has no respect for a single gravel or a granite in the moment of the now. Because he thinks of holding or building a mansion in the future. But what he refused to understand, that the mansion that sits in the future is the constitution of single granites or stones or gravels. It's a constitution of single bags of cement, and it's a constitution of pieces of blocks all brought together and arranged to create that mansion. So such a person will be living a life of delusion. And most of such people, somebody who uses the word braggadocious, they can talk and talk boastfully. And a lot of people are living this life. And such people are never achievers. Anybody that lives, listen, and there is a problem with the concept of attraction, the law of attraction. You see, projecting the future is not to live in the future, but to portray the future in the moment of the now. That is the engine of manifestation. Now, because maybe we have to take time and treat that one too, but because the whole thing was presented in just a literal way, people are living as though they are in the future, but in the now, they are not acting as so. Hence, what they anticipate to manifest in the now, which will constitute their past and will tell how their future will be like, is defeated. So, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that, say you want to own one of the best companies in the world. You want to own one of the best advertising companies in the world. That is the projection for the future. You must so be able to create that reality in your conscious mind and feed it to your subconscious mind. When that has been created, you don't live in the illusions or the delusion of the facade, the imaginary image or the visualized image that you have created that are supposed to manifest in the future. But what you do is that you work on that future in the moment of the now. Not in the state of consciousness, but in the state of actions. I should give you a practical scenario or a classical scenario. When I use classical scenario, I'm talking about something that really happened in real time. When I put up my new place, my new house, we've done the fence. My money got finished. We had to have a gate. There was no gate. And I had an imaginary image of the kind of gate I want, the type that slides. You can even make it an electronic gate that is slide by itself. That's the kind of gate I wanted. So I had that imaginary picture in my mind, but I needed to live that life in the now. Not in imagination, but in reality. So what did I do? Even though there was no money as at the time because the gate was expensive. Expensive is relative, but to me it was expensive. Somebody that's money is a chicken change, but to me relative is expensive. When I got to site with Abraham, I parked, blew the horn, and I asked him to go and open the gate whilst there was no gate. And I asked him to open the gate to the direction I want my gate to run. So it wasn't that he was opening the gate anyhow, but he had to drag the gate according to the direction. If it was completed, it will move towards for opening and it will move towards for closing. And I remember a couple of times when he does so and I drive in, I told him not close the gate. We'll go right now. So the gate should be open. So I am creating the future and living the future within the now. Not imaginary, but impractical. But what I was doing wasn't practical. I'm not going to have to push the gate. It is not within the tangibility of space. But that gate has been created at a certain level and it's a reality. Waiting for manifestation. And this I'm giving you a synopsis of this whole concept of attraction and manifestation through visualization and concentration. And all these things are taught in the personality development and how to use your mind to create your own reality. In the personality development classes, we teach all these things. And Abraham is my witness. In no time, I had somebody who did the gate outside of the actual budget on the market, and he did it according to my budget. This is how it is like. But when you live in the delusion of that figment of imagination of the future and refuse to live in the moment of the now of that created intention, then you live in deception. Then you live in deception. And that is the problem we are having. And this is the second group. So this second group are good thinkers, are good presenters, are good talkers. They feel they're very intelligent and knowledgeable, yet their lives have nothing to write home about. They've not been able to achieve anything in their life. And if they don't get the right tuition, they will die not achieving any purpose in life. Because they are constantly living in a world of delusion. They are always delusion. And things that would culminate to their mission and purpose in life and fulfilling that their so-called big dream, these people ignore and does not pay attention. And to these people, all other people, they are more intelligent than all other people. And because of that, they are unable to achieve any purposeful end. And if they don't take time, they will die not achieving it. Such people normally end up failing their wives, failing their children, failing families, and totally, by the time they realize that they've lived a life of delusion, age has caught up with them. So you must know where you belong. Are you living in the world of illusion that is constantly living in your past glory, or you are living in the world of delusion that is living in daydreaming, or you are living in the reality of the moment of the now? The only place to live and you will be safe, to be able to achieve your purpose and to be able to achieve your dream and to fulfill your mission in life, is to be able to live in the moment of the now. That is constantly being conscious and aware of what is occurring in the moment of the now and making sure you live to fulfill that purpose. And bit by bit, as you put the puzzle of the moment of the now, the constitutions of the solutions you implement in the moment of the now, gradually you are building the future, and then you are creating a past for yourself. And what you do in the now will determine how your past will be spoken of and how your future will manifest to you. And this is the truth of our existence. Because don't forget, I have told you that the now is a dynamic energy which is in constant evolution. That is the now. The now is a dynamic energy which is in constant unfoldment or evolution. It is evolving. And that evolution is pure energy in evolution. And that energy which is evolving is void, has no shape, has no form. It is you that give that energy shape and form. Now the shape and the form you give to that evolving energy, dynamic energy, which is the now, will determine how your past will be shaped and how your future will be revealed. That is basically how it is. And the form and the shape you give to the dynamic energy of the now is determined by the intentions that you create. But the intentions that you create feeds energy to the evolving dynamic power of the now. And this creates what you call reality. This creates what you call reality. So it is necessary that we build the relevant capacity. Actually, this is not what I wanted to talk about, this, but that's how I've been directed to, so that's why I'm talking about it. Actually, I wanted to talk about enlightenment, which is more spiritually oriented, but this is where I'm being directed. So it is necessary to build relevant capacity, internal capacity, not psychological capacity alone, not emotional capacity alone, not sensual capacity alone, but to build real capacity at the subtle level. Well, that is where real energy runs. Real energy that brings about transformation in the real world of the now comes from your subtle energy. It comes from the most subtle aspect of your beingness. And you need to be able to connect to that source. It is the source of all inventions. It is the source of all innovations. It is the source of anything that can be created in this physical dimension of reality. And anybody detached or disconnected from that source of reality has no energy or has no intention created to be able to influence the dynamic of energy evolving in the present of the now. And that is why a lot of people are not creators. That is why a lot of people are not innovators. And that is why a lot of people are not inventors. And you have fewer inventors, fewer innovators, and fewer creativity people or creators. And even most created you see are imitators who call themselves creators. Most innovators you see are imitators. They emulate and imitate the original creator. But I can tell you for sure, without doubt and without fail, that there's a reservoir of intelligence resonating and resident in our divinity. That is the source and the core to which all inventions, to which all creation, to which all innovations are tapped from. And that reservoir resides in every soul. And that reservoir is the only one-stop destination for your redemption, for your freedom, for your liberation, be it spiritually and materially and financially. You cannot fathom what I'm talking about until you have a first-hand experience, just as I do. It's a beautiful thing. It's an effortless, stress-free, non-depressive way of life. It's a beautiful life. Where you live life and you just have to go inside and everything is there. Because there is an intelligence that is always infiltrating through our thought level. And that intelligence is always there. That world, that dimension of existence is always there. And you should be able to constantly and consistently stay connected to that dimension of reality of intelligence. This is the only thing the elites of this world are trying to cut you off. They use school as a means to cut you off. They use media as a means to cut you off. They use motivational speaking as a means to cut you off. They use religion as a means to cut you off. They are using all sort of means to cut you off so that you are not connected to that source of intelligence. Because that source of intelligence is a source that all people you revere, from Albert Einstein to Isaac Newton to Shakespeare to Bill Gates to Warren Buffett to Elon Musk and to all those people that you so revere and you admire them, this is where they have their intelligence. All people you admire, I shouldn't leave myself out of it, and me. This is where we all have intelligence. I can sit here and talk on any topic that I'm given to without research. As long as it's within my destiny space. As long as it's within my purpose space. I can talk on any topic within my purpose space without reading any book, without researching. Because you're connected to that. And once you focus your mind, as I told you, this was the last thing I thought of to talk about. I was going to talk about, if you listen very well at the beginning, I was talking about enlightenment and integration. But here I'm talking. Once the intelligence is connected to that frequency, talking about. Mine may be talking and writing. Yours may be practical. Yours may be entertainment. But whatever it is, from music to the arts, to the inventions, to the technocrats, to what have you, Everything resides in that intelligent space. And this intelligent space, everybody has the right to it. This is the only reason why these elites, we call them the Western civilization, is trying to cut the African civilization. Because our forefathers once connected to that intelligence. Our forefathers once connected to that intelligence. We invented electricity, invented lots of technologies. And when they got to find out it, they said, no, these people shouldn't go there. So they have to find ways and means to disconnect us. I don't know if you heard about Area 51. Wonderful technology is going on. We call it out of space, out of earth technology. Where is it coming from? The people there are just like you and I. They were conceived for 9 months. They eat, breathe, sleep, go to private, go to place of convenience, just like you and I. But where is that intelligence? Well, that intelligence is out of earth technology. Once upon a time, if you have told somebody that there will be a communication gadget like this, he will tell you you're crazy. I remember in 1999, 98, 99, cell phone was now out in the system, and it's only the successful and the rich kids used to have cell phone. And 99, and then 1998, I was from school. I was at Takoradi Polytechnic, so I was school and I was coming. So there was a rest stop at this Cape Coast station. Not until there's a place when I go to the traffic light before you go to Abri Girls, Wesley Girls. There's a taxi, a golf filling station. That's where the buses do rest stop for people to get down, make themselves. You want to buy something, all that thing. And when we got down, I saw this man. You see, they are workers and they are holding this yam phone, that Mobitel. That I was little bit. I was like watching this Mobitel guy. I said, hey. So when they are finished school, when am I going to finish school, start work, own a phone? I was asking myself that question because I was still a student. As at that time, 1999, that should be roughly about 20 something years ago. Then I had an intuition, I had a voice told me that maybe by the time you'll be working to be able to buy a phone, there will be a phone which is in the form of a watch. 1999. What was that intelligence coming from? I was told, I had it clear. That time I do 2 times now this phone you see big, the Mobitel you see, it was square like big Mobitel just has a long pole on it like a walkie-talkie. He said this you are referring this into but by the time you start working and you want to buy a phone, there will be phones that have been designed in the form of wristwatch. And now there are phones designed from wristwatch. Look at when I picked that intuition and frequency. That was 1999. Even if the year 2000, then it's 25 years ago. So we are talking about 25, 26 years ago. It was 98, 19. I don't really remember. But it wasn't 2000 because 2000 I was finishing. So this is about 25 years ago. I was told that a time is coming when mobile phones will be in the form of wristwatch. And 25 years later, we have mobile phones like iPhones that you can use wristwatch to pick them. So what I'm saying is that the intelligences are coming from a source. As at the time, if I were into the electronics and sciences, I would then begin to meditate on that idea of intelligence. And probably I would have come up with that invention. But he told me that because the invention, it is possible. It is the intelligence is there. But it's going to come out in 25 years' time. And obviously when I started work and all those, it was around that time that Android watches started. And if I'm not mistaken, I may be one of the few people who first invented Android wristwatches to Ghana. So when the watches came, I was like, this thing 25 years ago, Yeah, I imported it, not invented, imported it. Okay, that I bought it from China. That's what I want to say. I imported it from China. And then the circle boys who sell food, they came to my house to come in. I was like, Charlie, this is new on the market and all those things. Well, as at the time, what I did was that I surf the internet and look for new technologies, and then I buy some of the product and bring it down to sell. And I came across this new 100 watches and all those things. But now it has been advanced. The ones I brought first was not that advanced. But now it has been advanced. But what I'm trying to say is that what I was told 25 years ago, 25 years less than about 20 years later, when I started working, I imported some to the country. But if I was a scientist or I was into electronics, those people into telecommunication, when the idea dropped, I begin to meditate and think about it, and it will take me to the source where that intelligence was coming from, and I may have an idea of how to build such a gadget. So those intelligences are there. And we have used it. We use it in our everyday lives. We use it to solve basic problems in our homes, basic electronic problems, basic carpentry problems, basic. If I want to talk about examples, plenty of them. My car, when it breaks down, I can tell you the mechanic what to do, what not to do, and all those things. A lot of this is what we use to solve our everyday problem, and life becomes ease. My wife will tell you that. My wife always keeps telling me that anything you want in your life comes to you easy, so you don't struggle and stress yourself in life. I said, no, it's a state of awareness. You choose what you want. Why would she make such comment? Because it's something that she has observed. And I know things come to me not with ease, because you create the reality and connect to that dimension of intelligence that is responsible for that reality. You see, the problem people have is they say connecting to that intelligence. Now, do I have now? And I said, now. The real intelligence is a state of awareness at a certain level within the subconsciousness. That's the real intelligence. It has nothing to do with entity. Because when you go to the real spiritual dimension, there is no form. Forms are moving, they are lower degraded entities. When you go to the real dimension, there is no form in consciousness. There's no form. This is how it looks like, okay? So these are energy centers. And all these energy centers are within your consciousness. These are electrical energy centers, which are subtle energy centers. And these are magnetic energy centers, which are tangible energy centers. When you go to the instinct side, they call it the chakras. And so these are where it is. It is within your own conscious energy field. Now, each field you find these things are all consciousness of awareness. The lower it is, the more tangible and the more obvious it is. The higher it is, the more subtle and the more fine it is. Which is not tangible, which is not obvious. So this is how so anything below this one are other energies. But it's not captured there because they are very rough energies. So below these energies, we have all these elementals, we have all these things. So the elementals start from the root, the root, the base energy center, and when you go to the Kaaba, they call it the Makuth. Okay, and then when you go to the this thing, we have the Makuth. And then when you come to the top here, I'm talking about the base and the top, and the top here is the Keta. Okay, which is the split of the energy of the union, which into duality, which comes from the crown. Okay, then we have the Makuth, which is in Kabbalah, it is represented with 4 colors, which the 4 colors represent the 4 elements. Beneath these 4 elements are much more degraded, tangible energies, like what you call the mermaids, the dwarves, the gnomes, the goblins, the seraphins, the salamanders, and all those energies. They are just there. They operate at certain dimensions of the energy. The fairies and all those energies, they are there. They operate within this dimension and lower. You understand? So when you come within the earth element, you have what we call the norms. I think the norms control the earth element. Okay, that is where and their spirit controller is the gobs. Okay, and I think they are ruled by the angel Uriel. So this is how it works. So at the more tangible level, which is the lower level, everything becomes very coarse and very dense. And that is also I slept and I went to the spiritual world. You didn't go anywhere. You went to the spiritual world and you see something. It's not the real spiritual world. It's not the real dimension of intelligence. Because anywhere you go there, you begin to see. So you some diet in your dream is just within the astral dimension, the second place. And I mean, buffo and a buffo no catch me, and I mean, this all within the lower dimension. When you transcend the bridge, which is the balance here, okay, which is the green, which is the heart chakra, which is the balance between the electrical field, the magnetic field, and the electrical field. When you transcend here, everything is subtle energy, subtle intelligence. It's always in a state of formlessness. And as you go further, you see that the color is, you are losing out the color. You see? So here is pure white light. Pure intelligence. There is a pure white light, pure intelligence, or pure light. Now, out of that light, because out of every white light is the constitution of spectrum of colors. And that's why you have these spectrums of colors. You get it? This is, I think this is purple, eh? The violet. This is violet. Beyond this violet is pure white light. And we have these 7 colors, which are the 7 colors of the rainbow. And these 7 colors of the rainbow are spectrums of light. So within the spectrum of light, we call it the fragmentations of reflected light. So the light that comes from the pure white light, which is the white energy, that's why Jesus said that you are the light of this world. You are a constitution of reflected light, reflected colors, which are the constitution of rainbow colors. And when all these rainbow colors come together in perfect balance and in perfect mixture and constitution, gives out the white, brilliant light. So in the real higher dimensions of intelligences, there's nothing like form. Ubikacha said in the real higher dimensions of subtle intelligence, there is form. Is a lie. I am telling you. At a little bit lower of the finest intelligence, you feel the presence of the energies, which we all do. So most of the time, whether in the state of vision or in the state of dream state, and I'm dealing with pure energy, unless I'm dealing with etheric beings or astral beings, then you see them in form. You see them physically in your dream state or your vision state. But if it is not dealing with the astral dimension or etheric beings or lower mental beings, and you are dealing with the higher mental and above, you see them, you sense the energy of you sense the energy, but you don't see it as form. So if it's about 3 energies that are around you, you know there are 3 energies around you. And when each energy is transmitting any intelligence, you know that this energy, because over there's nothing like voice. In the higher dimensions, we don't speak there. It's only within the astral dimension where you can communicate with entities. You understand? But in the higher, there's always a transmission of intelligence. And so once the energy conceive, I'll use the word conceive because in the physical world I have to use the word conceive, but there's nothing like mind there because it is beyond mind. It is beyond the higher mental plane. But I'll use the word conceive. Once the energy wants to communicate to you and that conception of communication is dealt with, it transmits. And you just know. And then when you also conceive, it is transmitted. You just know, and the communication keeps on going on like a telepathic, or better, like telepathic communication. And this is the realm of authentic knowledge, authentic intelligence. And this realm of subtle, authentic, non-tangible intelligence, each and every soul has the right to get into that dimension. And it is connecting to this dimension that will give you freedom in this physical space and this 3D dimension world. And this is what the Western civilization elites know, and they want to disconnect you. It's finished. Once you can reconnect yourself, you break away from the matrix. This is all the matrix they are talking about. The matrix is to trap you within their own intelligence that they have created to control the physical space so that people doesn't get out of the matrix to connect to that sublime intelligence or authentic intelligence. So the matrix now is nothing but a system of control that you'll be limited not to transcend beyond your intellect. And that is why there are people who are very intellectual, they have emeritus, they have PhDs, they are still being controlled and trapped within the matrix. Because to be able to break off the matrix, it is beyond magic, it is beyond metaphysics, because the metaphysical knowledge now, the metaphysical books now, but when you are within the mystics and the metaphysics, it gives you an edge over those who are within the carnal academical knowledge. That's the only difference. So when you are within the metaphysical realm of knowledge, you climb a little bit up, so now you can flow in their class of those elite class, so that you rule those within the academical intellectualism. That is the only difference there is. But you need to go beyond the metaphysical and mystical knowledge to connect the source of authentic knowledge or authentic intelligence. And once you connect to the source of authentic intelligence, there is a life. It's very beautiful. This is what people must know. Understand that this world that we have, those elite people, those Western civilizations, excuse me, if you think they have your well-being at heart, I am telling you today that it is a lie. Those people they don't have the slightest well-being, your well-being at their heart. They don't. They are only interested in their gain. And they want to use you as a puppet to achieve their end. I'm telling you the truth. They want you to be trapped and to be enslaved in the box that they have created, and that box is the matrix. So you live your life at best from paycheck to paycheck. So you wake up in the morning, 5 a.m., you're leaving home, and you come back and you have to close 5 a.m. in the evening. And you get home, it's around 6:30, 8 a.m., and you are so exhausted. They drain all the life out of you. You go to pension at the age of 50, 55, 60 years. And because they drain all the energy out of you, you become sick. And when you become sick, the same elite build the pharmaceutical companies and they build the hospitals. Then they give you pension, and you use the pension to go to their hospitals, and they take the money back. So they tell you what to eat. So they know that what they are making you eat over 40-year period will make you sick. But because it is not an instantaneous action, you cannot connect it that they are giving the sickness, and then the same people go and create the hospitals and go and create a big pharma company waiting for you, that because they know automatically what you are eating for the past 40 years will end you up sick. So they make a provision to take that money from you. Don't you get the system? And I am telling you, the only way you can escape this created box of matrix to make you a zombie and a puppet is to connect to your divine source of intelligence.